Welcome, weary traveler. Tonight, you're about to journey through the most profound story of liberation ever told, the Book of Exodus. But this isn't just ancient history. This is your story, your struggle for freedom from whatever holds you captive tonight. Maybe you're trapped by anxiety that won't let go. Perhaps you feel enslaved by circumstances beyond your control. Or maybe you're simply exhausted from the daily grind, longing for rest that goes deeper than sleep. The Israelites knew this feeling. 400 years of bondage, of crying out for deliverance. Tonight, as we walk through their journey from slavery to freedom, you'll discover that the same God who heard their cries in Egypt hears yours right now. You'll witness miracles that remind you nothing is impossible. You'll find rest in the wilderness and provision in impossible places. Let your breathing slow. Feel your body sink into comfort. Close your eyes and prepare your heart. Heavenly Father, as we enter this sacred story together, quiet every anxious thought. Remind this precious soul that you are still the God of impossible rescues, miraculous provision, and perfect rest. Amen. You're carrying something heavy tonight, aren't you? Maybe it's worry about tomorrow, grief over what you've lost, or that deep ache of feeling trapped in circumstances you can't change. The Israelites knew this weight. They carried it for 4 centuries in Egypt. Listen to how their story begins to echo yours. Exodus 2:23-24 says, "During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant." God heard their groaning. Do you understand what this means for you tonight? It means your midnight tears don't fall unnoticed. Your exhausted sighs aren't lost in the darkness. Every prayer you've whispered, every silent cry for help, God has heard them all. Just like he heard the Israelites, he hears you. The text says God remembered his covenant. This doesn't mean he had forgotten. God never forgets. It means he was ready to act. Your breakthrough might be closer than you think. Your deliverance might be forming even in this moment of rest. Maybe you feel forgotten right now, like you've been waiting so long for things to change, for relief to come, for someone to see your struggle. The Israelites waited 400 years. 400 years of slavery, of crying out, of wondering if God had abandoned them. But then came Moses. Exodus 3:7-8 records God saying, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them. I have seen, I have heard, I am concerned, I have come down." 4 declarations that change everything. God sees your misery tonight. Not just glimpses of it, but all of it. The parts you hide from others, the pain you carry alone, the struggles that keep you awake. He sees it all. God hears your crying out. Maybe you haven't been vocal about your pain. Maybe you've been the strong one, the one everyone else leans on. But God hears the cries of your heart, the silent pleas for help, the desperate longings for freedom. He hears it all. God is concerned about your suffering. This isn't distant sympathy. This is personal involvement. The God of the universe is personally invested in your pain, actively concerned about your well-being, intimately aware of what keeps you up at night. And God has come down to rescue you, not eventually, not when you're strong enough or good enough or when circumstances align perfectly. Right now, in this moment, as you lie here seeking rest, God is orchestrating your rescue. Perhaps you feel overwhelmed right now, like you're drowning in responsibilities, emotions, or circumstances beyond your control. The Israelites stood at the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army bearing down on them, trapped between impossible choices. Listen to what Moses told them in Exodus 14:13-14. Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. You need only to be still. Right now, as anxiety tries to race through your mind, as worry attempts to steal your peace, you need only to be still. The Lord will fight for you. Whatever battle you're facing tomorrow, whatever impossible situation looms ahead, the Lord will fight for you. Stand firm, not in your own strength, but in the confidence that the same God who parted the Red Sea is working on your behalf. The same God who made a way where there was no way is making a way for you even now. You will see the deliverance the Lord brings. Maybe not the way you expected, maybe not on your timeline, but you will see it. Your Red Sea moment is coming, that place where God shows up, so powerfully that there's no doubt it was Him. Maybe tonight you're feeling lost, like you're wandering in a wilderness with no clear direction. The Israelites knew this feeling too. For 40 years they wandered, wondering if they'd ever reach the promised land. But look what God provided in their wilderness journey. Exodus 13:21-22 tells us, "By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people." A pillar of cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. God's presence was visible, constant, and personal. He went ahead of them, not behind, pushing them forward, but ahead, leading the way, checking for dangers, preparing the path. Tonight, as you rest, know that God goes ahead of you into tomorrow. He's already there, preparing the way, arranging circumstances, moving hearts, opening doors. You don't have to figure out the path. You just have to follow His leading. The pillar never left its place. God's guidance wasn't inconsistent or unreliable. It was steady, faithful, always there when they needed it. His guidance is the same for you. Steady, faithful, always available when you need direction. Perhaps you're worried about provision tonight, how you'll make it through financially, emotionally, physically. The Israelites worried about this too, standing in a desert with no visible means of survival. Then God provided manna. Exodus 16:4 says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. Bread from heaven, daily provision." God didn't give them a warehouse full of food. He gave them what they needed each day. This teaches us something beautiful about how God provides for us. He gives us enough for today, grace for today, strength for today, peace for today. You don't need tomorrow's provision tonight. You don't need next week's strength right now. You just need enough for this moment, enough to find rest, enough to trust that tomorrow's manna will come tomorrow. The manna came 6 days a week, but on the 6th day they gathered extra because the 7th day was for rest. God built rest into their provision system. Rest wasn't optional. It was part of God's plan for sustaining them. Tonight is your Sabbath rest. Let your body remember that rest is holy. Let your mind embrace that stillness is sacred. Let your spirit receive that you are sustained not by your striving, but by God's provision. Maybe you feel broken tonight, like you've made too many mistakes, like God couldn't possibly use someone like you. Moses felt this way too. When God called him to lead Israel out of Egypt, Moses had a list of excuses. "Who am I?" he asked in Exodus 3:11. And God's answer changes everything. "I will be with you." Not, "You are capable." Not, "You are strong enough." Simply, "I will be with you." Your qualifications aren't the point. Your past failures aren't disqualifying. Your current weaknesses aren't barriers. God's presence with you is what makes the difference. When Moses protested that he wasn't eloquent enough to speak to Pharaoh, God reminded him in Exodus 4:11, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord, the God who formed your mouth, who gave you breath, who designed your voice? He can use it for his purposes. The God who created your mind, who gave you thoughts, who designed your unique perspective, he can use it all. You are not an accident. Your struggles haven't disqualified you. Your story, all of it, including the parts you're ashamed of, can be used by God for his glory and for the good of others. Rest in this truth tonight. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are accompanied by the presence of the Almighty God. Your mind is racing tonight, isn't it? Thoughts circling like vultures, picking apart your peace. Maybe it's fear about the future. What if this happens? What if that falls apart? What if you can't handle what's coming? Your chest feels tight just thinking about it. The Israelites knew this fear. Standing at the edge of the promised land, they sent spies ahead to scout the territory. 10 of them came back with a terrifying report. Numbers 13:31-33 records their words. "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Grasshoppers. That's how fear makes you feel, doesn't it? Small, insignificant, powerless against the giants you're facing. Your problems look so big, so insurmountable, and you feel so small in comparison. But listen to what the other 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, declared in Numbers 14:8-9. "If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Your giants may look powerful, but their protection is gone when the Lord is with you." That anxiety disorder that seems so strong, its protection is gone when the Lord is with you. That financial crisis that appears insurmountable, its protection is gone when the Lord is with you. That relationship that feels broken beyond repair, its protection is gone when the Lord is with you. Do not be afraid, not because the giants aren't real, but because the Lord is with you. And when the Lord is with you, you don't just survive the giants, you devour them. Maybe tonight you're struggling with deep sadness, a grief that feels like it will never end. You've lost something precious, maybe a person, maybe a dream, maybe a season of life that can never return. The weight of it sits on your chest, making it hard to breathe. The Israelites experienced profound grief too. When they heard that their journey to the Promised Land would take 40 years instead of the few weeks they expected, when they realized an entire generation would die in the wilderness, the grief was overwhelming. But in the midst of their mourning, God gave them something beautiful. Exodus 33-14 records his promise. "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." My presence will go with you, not just part of the way, not just when things get better, not just when you're feeling stronger, all the way through the grief, all the way through the loss, all the way through the valley of the shadow of death. And in his presence, he promises rest, not the absence of pain, but rest in the midst of pain, not the elimination of grief, but rest that transcends grief. A deep, soul-level rest that says you don't have to carry this alone. Your grief is not a burden you bear in isolation. Your sadness is not a journey you walk without companionship. The presence of God goes with you into the deepest valleys, and in his presence, your soul can find rest even while your heart is breaking. Perhaps you're battling shame tonight, that voice that whispers you're not good enough, you've messed up too much, you're beyond redemption. It points to your failures, your mistakes, your moments of weakness, and tells you that you're disqualified from God's love. The Israelites knew shame. They built a golden calf while Moses was receiving the Ten Commandments. They worshipped an idol right after witnessing the most spectacular display of God's power in human history. If anyone had reason to feel disqualified, it was them. But look at God's response in Exodus 34 6-7. The Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Compassionate. That's not tolerance or grudging acceptance. That's deep, personal compassion for your struggles. Gracious. That's undeserved kindness poured out on you simply because you are His child. Slow to anger. That's patience with your failures, understanding of your weaknesses, mercy for your mistakes, abounding in love. Not scarce love that you have to earn or conserve. Abounding love, overflowing, excessive, more than enough love to cover every shame you carry. Maintaining love to thousands. Generational love that extends beyond your lifetime. Love that changes your legacy. Love that breaks the chains of shame in your family line. Forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Not minimizing it, not pretending it doesn't matter, but completely forgiving it. Your worst moments don't define you. Your biggest failures don't disqualify you. Your deepest shame doesn't separate you from God's love. Maybe you're exhausted tonight, running on empty, feeling like you have nothing left to give. You've been strong for so long, carrying so much, and you're just tired, bone deep, soul level tired. Moses felt this exhaustion. Leading 2 million complaining people through the desert was more than one person could handle. In Numbers 11:14, he cried out to God, "I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me." The burden is too heavy for me. Maybe that's your cry tonight. The weight of responsibility, the pressure of expectations, the demands of daily life. It's too heavy for you to carry alone. God's response to Moses teaches us something beautiful about how He handles our exhaustion. He didn't tell Moses to try harder or dig deeper. Instead, in Numbers 11:16-17, God said, "Bring me 70 of Israel's elders. I will take some of the power of the Spirit that is on you and put it on them. They will share the burden of the people with you so that you will not have to carry it alone." You will not have to carry it alone. That's not just ancient history. That's God's promise to you tonight. The burden that feels too heavy, the responsibility that feels overwhelming, the pressure that feels crushing. You don't have to carry it alone. God provides helpers, companions, sharers of the burden. Sometimes they come in the form of family or friends. Sometimes they come as professionals or counselors. Sometimes they come as unexpected encounters or divine appointments. But they come because God sees your exhaustion and provides relief. Maybe you're struggling with anger tonight, at God, at others, at circumstances beyond your control. You feel guilty for being angry, but you can't seem to let it go. It burns in your chest, disturbs your peace, steals your sleep. Moses struggled with anger too, when he saw the Israelites worshipping the golden calf. Exodus 32-19 tells us, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. Moses broke the stone tablets that God had written with his own finger. If anyone had reason to be permanently disqualified from leadership, it was Moses. But God didn't reject him for his anger. Instead, Exodus 34-1 shows us God's response. Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. God rewrote what Moses broke. Your anger doesn't disqualify you from God's love or his plans for your life. Your moments of rage don't separate you from his purposes. God can rewrite what you break, restore what you damage, heal what you wound. The tablets Moses broke were replaced with new ones. Sometimes God restores exactly what was broken. Sometimes he gives us something new and even better, but he always provides what we need to move forward. Perhaps you're battling loneliness tonight, feeling isolated, misunderstood, disconnected from others. You're surrounded by people but still feel alone. You long for someone who really sees you, really knows you, really understands what you're going through. Moses experienced this loneliness. Leading a nation is an isolating responsibility. In Exodus 33-11, we get a beautiful glimpse into how God met this need. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend. Face to face as one speaks to a friend, not as a distant deity to a fearful subject, but as a friend to a friend, intimate, personal, real conversation. Moses could bring his questions, his complaints, his struggles, his fears, and God listened like a friend. Tonight, know that God wants to speak with you face to face. As one speaks to a friend, you don't have to clean up your thoughts or polish your words. You can bring your real questions, your honest doubts, your genuine struggles. God listens like a friend. You are not alone in your questions. You are not isolated in your struggles. You are not abandoned in your pain. The God of the universe wants to be your friend, wants to listen to your heart, wants to walk with you through whatever you're facing. Maybe you're dealing with doubt tonight, wondering if God is really there, if he really cares, if any of this faith stuff is actually real. You feel guilty for doubting, but the questions won't go away. The Israelites doubted too. Even after witnessing the 10 plagues, the parting of the Red Sea, and the daily provision of manna, they still questioned God's presence when they faced difficulties. In Exodus 17-7, after quarreling with Moses about water, they asked, "Is the Lord among us or not? Is the Lord among us or not?" Maybe that's your question tonight. After everything you've been through, after all the prayers that seem unanswered, after all the silence when you needed to hear his voice, is the Lord among us or not? God's answer came not in words but in action. He provided water from a rock in the desert. Impossible water from impossible places. Water where there should be none. Your doubt doesn't disqualify you from God's provision. Your questions don't separate you from his care. Even when you're questioning his presence, he's providing for your needs, sustaining your life, preparing your breakthrough. Is the Lord among us? The answer is yes. Yes, when you can feel his presence. Yes, when you can't. Yes, when everything makes sense. Yes, when nothing does. Yes, when you believe strongly. Yes, when you doubt deeply. The Lord is among us, working behind the scenes, providing from impossible places, making ways where there are no ways. Rest in this truth tonight. Your struggles are real, but so is God's presence. Your pain is valid, but so is his power. Your questions are honest, but so are his answers. You don't have to have it all figured out to experience his peace. You don't have to be strong to receive his strength. You don't have to be perfect to be loved perfectly. The same God who delivered Israel from Egypt is working your deliverance right now. The same God who provided in the wilderness is providing for you tonight. The same God who led them home is leading you into your promised land of peace, rest, and restoration. Sleep now, knowing you are held by the God of impossible rescues, miraculous provisions, and perfect rest. You're lying here, wondering if things will ever change, if this season will ever end, if breakthrough will ever come. The waiting feels endless, and hope feels fragile. But listen to this promise God made to the Israelites when they couldn't see a way forward. Exodus 6:6-8 records these powerful words. Therefore, say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God, and I will bring you to the land I swore with uplifted hand to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord. I will bring you out. Not maybe, not if you're good enough, not when circumstances align perfectly. I will. This is divine determination, heavenly commitment, God's unshakable resolve regarding your freedom. From under the yoke, whatever has you bound right now, anxiety, depression, addiction, toxic relationships, financial crisis, health battles, God sees the yoke you're carrying. He knows the weight of it, the way it chafes against your neck, the way it limits your movement. And He promises to bring you out from under it. I will free you from being slaves to them. Some things in your life have become slave masters, demanding your attention, controlling your thoughts, dictating your emotions. But God promises freedom, not just relief, not just coping mechanisms, but actual freedom from the things that have held you captive. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. Redemption means God takes what was meant to destroy you and transforms it into something beautiful. Your pain becomes your ministry, your struggle becomes your strength, your test becomes your testimony. With an outstretched arm, God reaches into your mess and pulls out something magnificent. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. This is adoption language. You're not just rescued, you're brought into the family. You're not just freed, you're claimed. You belong to God, and He belongs to you. This changes everything about your identity, your worth, your future. I will bring you to the land, not just out of bondage, but into blessing. God doesn't just end your Egypt experience. He leads you into your promised land. There's a destination to your deliverance, a purpose to your freedom, a land flowing with milk and honey waiting for you. Maybe you're struggling to believe that God could use your life for anything meaningful. You've made too many mistakes, wasted too many opportunities, failed too many times. But listen to this promise He made to Moses, a man who had murdered someone and fled the country. Exodus 3:10 says, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people the Israelites out of Egypt. I am sending you. After everything Moses had done wrong, God still had a mission for his life. Your failures don't disqualify you from God's purposes. Your past mistakes don't eliminate your future calling. God specializes in using imperfect people for perfect purposes. To Pharaoh, the most powerful leader in the world at that time, God didn't send Moses to practice on easy assignments first. He sent him straight to the top because when God sends you, no opponent is too powerful, no mountain is too high, no giant is too big. To bring my people out, your deliverance isn't just about you, it's about who you'll help once you're free. Your breakthrough isn't just for your benefit, it's for everyone who needs to see that. Freedom is possible. God is preparing you to lead others out of their Egypt experiences. Perhaps you feel overwhelmed by the obstacles ahead, like the challenges you're facing are simply too great to overcome. The Israelites felt this way standing at the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army approaching and impossible water blocking their path. Then came this promise in Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. The Lord will fight for you, not alongside you, not behind you, but for you. You don't have to muster the strength, develop the strategy, or figure out the solution. The Lord will fight for you. The battle is His, not yours. This means the anxiety you're facing. God will fight that for you. The depression that seems so strong, God will fight that for you. The addiction that feels unbeatable, God will fight that for you. The financial crisis that appears insurmountable, God will fight that for you. You need only to be still. Rest, don't strive. Trust, don't panic. Wait, don't rush. Stillness isn't passivity. It's confidence in God's ability to handle what you cannot. It's the peace that comes from knowing the battle belongs to the Lord. When you're still, you can watch God work. When you're striving, you miss the miracle because you're too busy trying to make it happen yourself. Be still tonight. Let God fight for you while you rest. Maybe you're worried about provision, about how you'll make it through financially. Your resources feel inadequate for what you're facing. The bills seem bigger than your bank account. The needs greater than your income. God gave this promise to the Israelites, facing a similar crisis in Exodus 16. 4. I will rain down bread from heaven for you. Bread from heaven. Provision that comes not from earthly sources, but from divine supply. When your human resources run out, God's heavenly resources are just beginning. When your earthly provision fails, His supernatural provision kicks in, raining down, not trickling, not scarce, not barely enough, raining. Abundant provision, more than sufficient supply, overwhelming abundance. God doesn't just meet your needs. He pours out blessing until there's no room to contain it all. For you, not for someone else, not for more deserving people, not for those who have it all figured out. For you. With your flaws, your struggles, your questions, your imperfections, God promises to rain down provision for you. This means the financial breakthrough you need, God will provide it. The emotional healing you're seeking, God will supply it. The relational restoration you're hoping for, God will rain it down. The physical health you're praying for, God will pour it out. You might be feeling trapped right now, like you're stuck between impossible choices, facing situations where every option seems wrong or overwhelming. The Israelites knew this feeling at the Red Sea. Then God spoke this promise through Moses in Exodus 14:13. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. You will see the deliverance, not maybe see, not possibly see, not hopefully see. You will see. This is God's confident declaration about your future. Your Red Sea moment is coming. That place where God shows up so powerfully there's no doubt it was Him. Today, not someday in the distant future, not when you're stronger or wiser or more deserving. Today, the deliverance you need could come today. The breakthrough you've been praying for could happen today. The miracle you've been waiting for could manifest today. Stand firm, not in your own strength, but in the certainty of God's promises. Not in your ability to figure it out, but in His power to make a way. Stand firm in faith, even when circumstances look impossible. Stand firm in hope, even when logic says there's no solution. Perhaps you feel like you're wandering aimlessly, like you've lost your direction and can't find your way to where God wants you to be. The path forward seems unclear, and you're afraid of making the wrong choices. God addressed this concern with this beautiful promise in Exodus 13:21. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. The Lord went ahead of them, not beside them, not behind them, but ahead of them. God goes before you into every situation you'll face. He's already in tomorrow, arranging circumstances, moving hearts, opening doors, preparing the way, to guide their way. Not to control their steps, but to guide their way. There's freedom within His guidance, choice within His direction. You're not a puppet. You're a beloved child being gently led by a loving Father who knows the best path for your life. By day and by night, God's guidance isn't limited to business hours or convenient times. Whether you need direction in the light of day or in the darkness of difficult seasons, God's guidance is available. His presence is constant, His direction is consistent, His help is always accessible. You could travel by day or night. God's guidance enables forward movement regardless of circumstances. Whether you're in a season of clarity or confusion, whether you feel strong or weak, whether everything makes sense or nothing does, you can still move forward because God's guidance is leading you. Maybe you're exhausted from trying to be strong, from carrying burdens that feel too heavy, from managing pressures that seem beyond your capacity. God knows your weariness, and He offers this promise from Exodus 33-14. My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. My presence will go with you, not just part of the way, not just when things are easy, not just when you feel capable. All the way through whatever you're facing, into the difficult conversations, through the challenging seasons, over the mountains, and through the valleys, God's presence goes with you. This means you're never alone in your struggles. You're never abandoned in your pain. You're never left to figure it out by yourself. The presence of the Almighty God accompanies you into every situation, every challenge, every opportunity. I will give you rest. Not just physical rest, though that's included. Not just mental rest, though that's part of it. Soul rest. The deep, abiding peace that comes from knowing you don't have to carry life's burdens alone. Rest that transcends circumstances. Peace that surpasses understanding. This rest comes not from the absence of problems, but from the presence of God. It's rest in the midst of storms, peace in the middle of chaos, calm in the center of crisis. When God gives rest, it's not dependent on external conditions. It flows from the security of His presence. Perhaps you feel like you've waited too long for breakthrough, like God has forgotten His promises to you. The delay feels endless, and hope feels fragile. But remember God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. A promise that took centuries to fulfill, but was always in God's heart. Exodus 2:24 tells us, God heard their groaning, and He remembered His covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. He remembered His covenant. This doesn't mean God had forgotten. God never forgets. It means the time had come for fulfillment. Your season of promise fulfillment might be closer than you think. The breakthrough you've been praying for might be forming right now. God operates on perfect timing, not human timing. His delays are not denials. His not yet is not no. His silence is not absence. When the time is right, and only He knows when that is, He will remember His covenant with you and move in your situation. Every promise God has spoken over your life is still active. Every prophetic word spoken in faith is still working in the spiritual realm. Every prayer prayed in hope is still ascending to the throne of grace. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. Tonight, rest in these promises. Let them sink deep into your spirit. Allow them to anchor your soul in hope. God's word cannot fail. His promises cannot be broken. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass. Your Egypt season is ending. Your wilderness wandering has purpose. Your promised land is waiting. The same God who delivered an entire nation from impossible bondage is orchestrating your personal exodus right now. Sleep in the security of His promises. Rest in the certainty of His love. Trust in the power of His faithfulness. Your breakthrough is coming. Your deliverance is assured. Your best days are ahead of you. I know it's hard to have faith right now. When you're lying here in the darkness, when the pain feels so real and God feels so distant, believing can feel impossible. You want to trust, you want to believe, but sometimes faith feels like trying to hold water in your hands. The Israelites struggled with faith too. Even after witnessing the most spectacular miracles in human history, they still wrestled with doubt. In Exodus 4:1, when God called Moses to lead them, Moses expressed what many of us feel. What if they do not believe me or listen to me? What if they don't believe? Maybe that's your fear tonight. What if this faith thing isn't real? What if God isn't listening? What if you're just talking to empty air? Moses had the same questions, and God didn't rebuke him for doubting. Instead, God gave Moses signs. In Exodus 4:2-4, God turned Moses' staff into a snake and back again. A simple miracle to build simple faith. God doesn't expect you to have perfect faith right away. He meets you where you are and gives you exactly what you need to take the next step. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect to be real. It doesn't have to be strong to be valid. It doesn't have to be constant to be genuine. Faith is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use, but it starts small, and that's perfectly okay. Maybe your faith feels as small as a mustard seed right now. That's enough. Jesus said in Matthew 17:20 that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. Your tiny faith, your struggling belief, your fragile hope, it's enough for God to work with. The Israelites' faith was tested repeatedly. When they reached the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army approaching, their faith cracked. Exodus 14:11-1-2 records their panic. Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, "Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians"? From faith to panic in one crisis, from praising God to questioning His goodness in one difficult moment. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've experienced this same faith roller coaster, believing one day, doubting the next, trusting in the morning, and panicking by evening. This doesn't make you a bad believer. This makes you human. Even people who walked with God face to face still struggled with faith when circumstances became overwhelming. Your fluctuating faith doesn't disqualify you from God's love or His plans for your life. But look what happened next. Exodus 14:21-2 tells us, "Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground." Their doubt didn't stop God's miracle. Their panic didn't prevent His provision. Their weak faith didn't cancel His faithfulness. God showed up not because they believed perfectly, but because He loves perfectly. Sometimes faith isn't about feeling confident. Sometimes it's about taking the next step even when you can't see the whole staircase. The Israelites couldn't see how they'd cross the Red Sea, but they watched Moses stretch out his hand, and then they stepped onto dry ground that shouldn't have existed. Your next step of faith might be small. It might be getting up tomorrow despite feeling hopeless. It might be praying one more time despite silence. It might be choosing to trust God's character even when you can't trace His hand. Small steps are still steps. Weak faith is still faith. Perhaps you're struggling because you expected faith to feel different than it does. You thought believing would eliminate doubt, that trusting would remove fear, that following God would make life easier. But faith isn't the absence of questions. It's choosing to trust despite having questions. Moses had questions throughout the entire Exodus journey. In Exodus 5:22-3, after things got worse instead of better, Moses questioned God directly. "Why, Lord? Why have you brought trouble on this people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble on this people, and you have not rescued your people at all," Moses asked. "Why? And is this why you sent me?" These are honest questions from a faithful heart. You can have questions and still have faith. You can wrestle with doubt and still be walking with God. You can say, "I don't understand," and still say, "I trust you." God didn't punish Moses for his questions. Instead, in Exodus 6:1, God strengthened his faith with a promise. "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand he will drive them out of his country. Now you will see." God didn't explain everything, but he promised that Moses would witness his power. Sometimes faith isn't about understanding God's plan. It's about trusting God's character. You may not see the big picture, but you will see God show up in ways that leave no doubt of his power and love. Your faith journey might feel lonely sometimes, like you're the only one struggling to believe, like everyone else has it figured out while you're still wrestling with doubts. But even the great heroes of faith had moments of weakness. In Numbers 20:12, even Moses had a moment where his faith failed. Because of one incident where he acted in anger instead of faith, God told him he wouldn't enter the promised land. But notice, this failure didn't end Moses' relationship with God or eliminate his value to God's purposes. Your moments of weak faith don't disqualify you from God's love. Your times of doubt don't remove you from his plans. Your struggles with belief don't separate you from his purposes. God uses people with imperfect faith because that's the only kind of people there are. Maybe you feel like your faith is too small to matter, like your prayers are too weak to reach heaven, like your trust is too fragile to make a difference. But consider this miracle from Numbers 21:8-9. God told Moses to make a bronze snake and put it on a pole, and anyone who looked at it would be healed from deadly snake bites. Just looking. Not performing great acts of faith, not praying eloquent prayers, not demonstrating unwavering belief. Just looking. The smallest act of faith, simply turning your eyes toward God, is enough for healing, enough for salvation, enough for transformation. Your faith doesn't have to be complicated to be effective. It doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. It doesn't have to be strong to be sufficient. Sometimes faith is just a desperate glance toward heaven. Sometimes it's just a whispered "help me." Sometimes it's just choosing to lie down in trust instead of staying up in worry. The Israelites' faith grew stronger through experience, not through explanation. Each time God showed up, their confidence increased. Each miracle they witnessed made the next step of faith a little easier. Each provision they received built their trust for future challenges. Your faith will grow the same way. Not through having all your questions answered, but through experiencing God's faithfulness in your daily life. Not through understanding his methods, but through witnessing his love in action. Not through feeling confident, but through seeing him show up again and again. In Deuteronomy 8:2, Moses reminded the Israelites, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. Remember how the Lord led you. Your faith is strengthened by remembering. Remember the prayers he's already answered. Remember the doors he's already opened. Remember the provisions he's already made. Remember the healings he's already brought. Remember the ways he's already shown up. Your wilderness seasons aren't punishment, they're preparation. They're not meant to break your faith but to build it. They're not evidence of God's absence, but opportunities to experience His presence in new ways. In the wilderness, you learn that God is enough when nothing else is available. Perhaps tonight you're choosing to take a small step of faith. Maybe it's deciding to trust God with your anxiety instead of rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Maybe it's choosing to believe He has good plans for you instead of focusing on past disappointments. Maybe it's simply deciding to rest in His love instead of striving for His approval. Whatever step you're taking, know that it matters. Small steps of faith please God's heart. Weak belief still connects you to His power. Struggling trust still positions you for His breakthrough. In Exodus 33-11, we read, "The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend." This is what faith ultimately leads to: intimate friendship with God. Not perfect belief, but real relationship. Not flawless trust, but genuine connection. God wants to speak to you face to face, as one speaks to a friend. You don't have to clean up your doubts or perfect your faith first. You can come as you are, with your questions and struggles and imperfect belief, and He will speak to you as a friend. Tonight, let your faith be what it is. Don't apologize for doubt. Offer it to God. Don't hide your questions. Bring them to Him. Don't pretend to be stronger than you are. Let Him be strong for you. Your faith, however small or struggling, is precious to God. Your trust, however fragile or fluctuating, moves His heart. Your belief, however weak or wounded, connects you to His unlimited power. Rest now, knowing that your imperfect faith is perfect for God's perfect love. Sleep peacefully, trusting that your struggling belief is enough for His unfailing faithfulness. Let your faith be what it is tonight, and let God be who He is: faithful, loving, present, and working on your behalf even while you rest. Your mind has been racing all day, hasn't it? Thoughts tumbling over each other like rushing water, never finding a place to rest. Even now, trying to find peace. Your mind keeps reaching for tomorrow's worries, replaying today's conversations, planning and organizing, and trying to control what can't be controlled. The Israelites knew this restlessness. After 400 years of slavery, rest felt impossible. Their minds were programmed for survival, for constant alertness, for perpetual anxiety about what their masters might demand next. Then God introduced them to something revolutionary. Exodus 20:8-11 says, "Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but He rested on the seventh day." God rested on the seventh day, not because He was tired. The Creator of the universe doesn't need to recharge. He rested to show us that rest is holy, rest is sacred, rest is not laziness or weakness or waste of time. Rest is divine design. Tonight is your Sabbath rest. Let your breathing slow. Feel the weight of your responsibilities lifting. You don't have to carry them into sleep. You can set them down. God built rest into the rhythm of creation itself. 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. Not as a suggestion, but as a commandment. Rest isn't optional in God's economy. It's essential. It's not a luxury for when everything is done. It's a necessity for sustainable living. Your body knows this. Your soul craves this. Your mind needs this. Even now, you can feel your muscles beginning to relax, your breathing becoming deeper, your thoughts starting to slow. Maybe you feel guilty about resting while there's still so much to do. The Israelites struggled with this too. How could they rest when there were enemies to fight, journeys to complete, problems to solve. But listen to what God told them in Exodus 33:14. My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. My presence will go with you, not just during your working hours, not just when you're being productive, not just when you're praying or serving or achieving. His presence goes with you into rest. His presence goes with you into sleep. His presence goes with you into stillness. And in His presence, He gives you rest. Not just the absence of activity, but the presence of peace. Not just stopping your body, but calming your soul. Not just closing your eyes, but opening your heart to receive His tranquility. Feel His presence with you now, in the quiet of this moment, in the softness of your pillow, in the rhythm of your breathing. He is here. He is near. He is giving you rest. Perhaps your mind keeps reaching for control, trying to figure out tomorrow's challenges, rehearsing conversations, planning strategies. This is how the human mind protects itself, by trying to anticipate and prepare for everything that might happen. But God spoke to this tendency in Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Perfect peace. Not partial peace, not temporary peace, not fragile peace that disappears with the first sign of trouble. Perfect peace. Complete, whole, unshakable peace. For minds that are steadfast, not minds that never wander, not minds that never worry, not minds that never question, but minds that return again and again to trust, minds that choose to focus on God's character rather than on circumstances, minds that practice faith instead of fear. Let your mind become steadfast now, not by forcing it to stop thinking, but by gently turning it toward trust. Each time a worry tries to surface, breathe it out and breathe in trust. Each time anxiety reaches for your attention, release it and receive peace. You can trust God with tomorrow. You can trust Him with the unknowns. You can trust Him with the things you cannot control. Your trust creates space for His peace to flow in. Maybe your heart feels heavy tonight, carrying grief or disappointment or the weight of unfulfilled dreams. Sleep seems impossible when pain sits so close to the surface, when every quiet moment brings back what you've lost or what hasn't come to pass. The Israelites carried heavy hearts too. They grieved the homes they left behind, the familiarity they lost, the dreams that died in the desert. But in their grief, God gave them a beautiful promise. Psalm 127:2 says, In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for He grants sleep to those He loves. He grants sleep to those He loves, not to those who have earned it, not to those who have solved all their problems, not to those who have perfect faith or flawless lives, to those He loves. And He loves you. You are loved with an everlasting love. You are cherished with an unfailing affection. You are treasured with a divine devotion that will never change, never fade, never be withdrawn. Because He loves you, He grants you sleep. Because He loves you, He offers you rest. Because He loves you, He invites you to release the day's burdens. Feel that love surrounding you now, like a warm blanket covering your heart. You are valued. You are loved. Your body is growing heavier now, sinking deeper into comfort. Your breathing is becoming slower, more rhythmic, more peaceful. This is good. This is right. This is how God designed you to rest. In the wilderness, God provided manna for the Israelites each morning, fresh provision for each new day. They couldn't store it up or save it for later. They had to trust that tomorrow's manna would come tomorrow. Tonight, you can release tomorrow's concerns, because tomorrow's manna will come tomorrow. Tomorrow's strength will be provided tomorrow. Tomorrow's wisdom will be given tomorrow. You don't need tomorrow's provision. Tonight, what you need tonight is rest. What you need tonight is peace. What you need tonight is the gift of sleep that God grants to those He loves. And you are deeply, completely, eternally loved. Let your muscles relax completely, starting with your face. Let your jaw unclench. Let your forehead smooth. Let your eyes soften. Feel the relaxation flowing down through your neck, across your shoulders, down your arms. Your chest is rising and falling gently, naturally, peacefully. Your heartbeat is steady and calm. Your breathing is deep and slow. This is your body remembering how to rest, how to trust, how to let go. Maybe you're afraid to fully let go, afraid that if you stop being vigilant, something bad will happen. The Israelites felt this fear too, wondering who would watch over them while they slept in the dangerous wilderness. But God gave them this beautiful assurance in Psalm 121, 3-4. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. He will not slumber. While you rest, he remains awake. While you sleep, he stays alert. While you let go of control, he maintains perfect oversight. You can sleep because he doesn't sleep. You can rest because he never rests. The God who watched over Israel in the wilderness is watching over you tonight. He sees every concern that weighs on your heart. He knows every fear that whispers in your mind. He understands every burden you carry, and he is handling it all while you rest. Feel the safety of his watch over you. You are protected. You are covered. You are secure in his care. Nothing can harm you while you rest in his love. The relaxation is moving through your whole body now, down through your abdomen, your hips, your legs, all the way to your toes. Every muscle is releasing. Every tension is dissolving. Every worry is melting away. You are held by the everlasting arms. You are covered by the shadow of his wings. You are surrounded by his peace that passes understanding. This peace is deeper than your problems, stronger than your fears, more constant than your circumstances. In the book of Zephaniah, God speaks these tender words in chapter 3, verse 17. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. He will rejoice over you with singing. Can you imagine the God of the universe singing over you as you drift towards sleep, a lullaby of love from the heart of heaven, a melody of mercy that surrounds your soul? Listen, can you hear it? The gentle song of his love washing over you, the soft melody of his grace surrounding you, the quiet rhythm of his faithfulness carrying you toward rest. He delights in you, not in your performance, but in your being, not in your achievements, but in your existence. You bring joy to the heart of God simply by being who you are, beloved, cherished, treasured. Your breathing is so peaceful now, so natural, so restful. Each breath in draws you deeper into his peace. Each breath out releases you further from worry, breathing in rest, breathing out stress, breathing in love, breathing out fear. The Israelites' journey from Egypt to the Promised Land took 40 years, but every night of those 40 years, God provided rest. Every evening brought the gift of sleep. Every sunset brought the promise of restoration. Tonight is your promise of restoration. While you sleep, God is working, arranging circumstances, moving hearts, preparing breakthroughs. Your rest is not time lost. It is time invested in God's perfect timing. He is preparing good things for you. He is working all things together for your benefit. He is turning what was meant to harm you into something beautiful. Tomorrow will bring His mercies, new every morning, fresh and abundant. Feel yourself sinking now, deeper into rest, deeper into the security of His love. Your body is completely relaxed. Your mind is perfectly calm. Your heart is absolutely peaceful. You are safe. You are loved. You are held by the God who never slumbers, never sleeps, never stops working on your behalf. The same God who delivered Israel from Egypt is delivering you into rest. The same God who parted the Red Sea is parting the waters of worry in your mind. The same God who led them through the wilderness is leading you into His peace. Rest now, beloved. Rest in His promises. Rest in His presence. Rest in His perfect, unfailing love. Tomorrow's manna will come tomorrow. Strength will arrive tomorrow. Tonight, you need only rest, only peace, only sleep. You are held, you are loved, you can rest now. Rest.